he doesn't know if he can be with me because he might cheat on me. Like, why are you in this experiment? Hi guys, welcome back for Married at First Sight season 20 episode 12. So we pick back up with Adam and Marissa, where Adam had said that he wants Marissa to basically have the same hobbies as him because in his last relationship they did have the same hobbies and they pushed each other in the gym and they were on a league together and they spent all this time playing the same things together, and that was some of the most fun that he's had, and so he does want that. And so then the question is posed to Marissa, is there a world in which you could see yourself actually playing like 25 to 30 hours of pickleball every week, which is basically what Adam wants? And she's like, no. Hopefully we can find a compromise, but no. And I'm glad that she at least said no and didn't say, we'll see, I'll try. No, say no, because we all know good and well that's not the case. So then Mecca asks, okay, is there a world in which he has things that he likes, you have the things that you like, and you guys can still work this out together? And she's like, well, that's what we need to figure out. As far as like the compromise go, we have couples therapy coming up, so we will talk about that then. And they should be able to work that out. And Adam does acknowledge, like, I'm the weird one in the relationship. I'm the one who wants to push myself super far, and she is a normal one. Yeah, she is a normal one. Like, you do a whole lot, but I don't know if they can actually work this out, just because Adam is a very like dominating personality. And I do really think that he does want someone who wants to do the same things as him. I think that will make it easier to be with him because then you're not opposing. I don't know. I'm curious how their therapy session is going to go. I wonder if it's going to be in this episode. This show is ridiculous. These men are ridiculous. Like, we go to Tori and Felipe, and Tori's like, yeah, the big thing right now is that we haven't argued, and I would really like to see what that looks like because both of us are really big debaters, so I want to see what it looks like if we argue. And Felipe's like, yeah, like in 3 weeks I have to make the biggest decision of my life. Like, I really thought I had already made that decision by marrying a stranger, but I just keep finding myself finding reasons for why I shouldn't marry you. Who says stuff like that? Tori, run away from this man. Truly, like, seriously, get away from him. We already knew it, but it's worth stating, Felipe was not ready for this experience. He literally is sitting here saying, I find myself walking downtown, walking through the aisles of the grocery store, like finding ways, looking for ways to get out of this. He's like, if you were to ask me today if I wanted to get married for the rest of my life, I would say no. What in the world? Truly, what in the world? Felipe, just stop. End it. Truly, just end it. You clearly are not in this. Do not drag Tori through this. I feel so bad for her. I mean, she's done had sex with this man. I know she's sitting there like, I literally slept with you, and this is what's happening now in front of all these people. That's just embarrassing. And he's like, my single life was so great. There was nothing that I didn't have control of. I made it so easy, so carefree. Nick was like, how do you feel about what Felipe just said? And she said, I feel like Felipe has work to do on his own, and that's not my job. 8. The rest of these women need to take a note from Tori, truly, because she just said, I am self-sufficient on my own and I'm not going to carry something that's not mine. That's the part that a lot of these women, they don't understand. Be secure on your own and don't carry something that's not yours. Don't try and fix this man. And Tori realizes, that's not my job. I'm not about to do that. And I think she also realizes, this is not my husband. Because if he was actually your husband, if that was the man that you were truly going to be with, he wouldn't be saying half the stuff that Felipe's sitting here saying, especially in front of other people. Pack this show up. Like, for real, I'm about to turn off these lights and just get out of here. What is the point? What is the point? Felipe is sitting here wasting my time, Tori's time, the expert's time, everybody's time. He is wasting everyone's time. I want to be compensated, okay? This man just sat here at this table and said that the thing that he feels like is lacking is that he just needs to be honest. He likes sleeping with a bunch of women. Pack this show up. Why are you here? You are wasting everyone's time. I'm ready to shut it down. Like, I'm ready to shut it down. Thankfully, we went ahead and moved on from Felipe and Tori. And now we're on Beljalie and Mecca. And they have turned a new leaf. They are so sweet together. And you know what? Beljalie is a real one. She's going to ride for her man. Because Mecca's like, a lot of what Felipe is saying, I have felt before. It is scary to commit. But I said at the group session, I would be undecided. And if you asked me that today, I would change my answer. Oh, I was even over here blushing because that was such a sweet answer. And he was like, I just realized, the more time I spend with her, the more I get to know her, the more we connect, I would be stupid to not say yes. And it's like, yes, you would be stupid to not say yes. And I'm so glad you realize. And so here comes Belle Jolie standing up for her man. And she's like, you know what? I will say I didn't like how we were painted because this is how he is. Behind closed doors, in front of people. This is who Mecca is. I get the same Mecca always. Yes, ride for your man. Stand up for him. And I think that makes him feel so good to know, like, she really does have me. And I think that that's part of his safety also in being like, I would absolutely say yes and stay married to her. And I do think that she would ride for him. I do. I think that they could actually make it all the way to the end, as long as he doesn't try and self-sabotage, as long as he just keeps his head on straight and doesn't start going down that like spiral of I'm not deserving, I'm not worthy, is she gonna leave? Stay out of that spiral and I think they're fine. And here goes Courtney again. So my God. They're all happy for Belle Jolie and Mecca and the growth that they've made. And then we get to Courtney and Nick, and Courtney talking about all the things that she does now because she's like, you know, I don't need these things, but I'm realizing that Nick does. And so I'm doing all this. Like, I'll text him, I hope you have a great day in the morning if I'm up and I'm leaving, or I will take a little extra time to like come over and give him a hug or whatever. And so they're also talking about their like intimacy. And Nick mentions how they had all the questions and how it helped them to get deeper and get to know each other a little bit more and how nice that was. And so anyway, Mecca said that he doesn't feel like he can see the connection between them. And she's like, well, I do like Nick. And, you know, I feel like there is a connection there. And I'm with Mecca. I don't believe you. Like, you're trying to say all the right things, but your body language is not giving that. And I think that that's what Mecca was getting at, because he said, you know, at the first dinner, your back was completely to him. Like, I just don't see the connection. Courtney is like, well, you know, I sat here and I said all the things that I was changing about, like, in our relationship to try and help Nick. And he didn't say a single thing that he was changing. And Courtney, why are you trying to play the blame game? He's not asking about that. He's asking about the connection. He's saying he doesn't see it with you, not with Nick, with you. You were the one who had your back turned to Nick. That's what we're addressing here. And yet you want to drag Nick in because you're like, oh, I'm not going to take the heat on this. I'm not going to take the heat. This isn't just me. And it's like, okay, but your issue with Nick was being vulnerable, right? Opening up a bit more. He just said that you guys did that in your questions that you did. Do you want more from him? Are you asking him questions? Or are you just expecting him to sit down next to you and be like, okay, so now I'm going to be vulnerable about something? That's not how it works. Like, it needs to be natural. You need to have a welcoming environment. And again, you don't create that soft, welcoming space with your energy. You just don't. So no, I can't blame him for not wanting to just open up on a whim. Maybe if you ask him some questions, maybe he'll open up, but you're not saying that you're asking questions. You're saying that you're doing all these things, and you're not even saying that you're happy about it. You're like, it makes him happy. Okay, but obviously you're not very happy. So Michelle and Cameron update everybody about them and how he's been going back and forth between Portland and Seattle, how he's been getting more integrated into Michelle's life by hanging out with her, her friends, seeing her life, her favorite spots. And he even said that now he's going to get a month-to-month place in Portland once his lease is up. That way he has that flexibility to like break it, because he's truly considering moving to Seattle to be with her. And so Nick was like, oh, so what about like coaching? And Cameron said, you know, I'm not saying that I'm going to give up on that, but I'm realizing that like that is not my only dream. And I think that that's a good realization. I think so far he's the only man that's talked about moving to be with the woman. Everybody else has kind of expected the woman to move, and that's big of him. And you know, I think that's really nice. I think that's a good sign for their relationship, that he's willing to pick up and move to be where she is and where her life is, versus him expecting her to do it just because he knows that she'll probably be able to find another job. Like, that's big of him. So Devin and Caitlin are giving an update. Devin, this stung. He said that he feels like at this point he and Caitlin are not connected, not even friends. I mean, that's a big statement. But if that's how he feels, then that's how he feels. And honestly, based on how he was talking to his friend, I would agree. That's not even how you treat your friends. So Devin still feels like Caitlin's not giving him enough. And Caitlin is getting defensive, and she's like, I just feel like this is really negative towards me right now. And I think that what she needs to do is take a moment to like actually hear what he's saying and reflect on it. Because what he's saying, he's not asking for a lot. He brings up the fact that they went out and played pool the night before, and that he was dancing dancing, singing along, being a little bit goofy, and she just like didn't even acknowledge. And she was like, well, were you dancing and being goofy because you wanted me to acknowledge you, or were you actually having a good time? And he was like, no, I was actually having a good time. She's like, okay, well then I'm happy you were having a good time. And she's missing the point. It's not that he's not having a good time. It's that he wants you to be in the same moment with him. Like when I am the more outgoing one in my relationship. I am the one who's going to be dancing and singing along when we're in public. And my husband is not. But he does acknowledge, he does smile, he does laugh. And he is like, you're so silly. And that is what Devin's asking for. Be in the same moment with me instead of acting like we're in two completely different realities and like you don't see me or you just don't know me. Like that's completely different than being independent. And I keep feeling like they keep using that word, and that's not the right word for what's going on here, in my opinion. And Tori then speaks and she's like, you know, don't feel like you're flawed. You're human. You're allowed to feel how you feel and move at the pace you want to move, but it's not a flaw. It's just how you are. And the same goes for Devin. And I think she makes a good point. Like, you know, if Caitlin's speed is her max speed that she's comfortable with, that's fine. But that's not what Devin needs or what he wants. And that just means that they're not each other's person. And that's fine. Like, I think a lot of them are placing so much weight on like, but we got married. It's okay to realize that this is actually not your person. It's a reality show at the end of the day. They put you together for entertainment, not necessarily because they really thought you were a perfect match. They said they might be compatible. Let's give it a shot. But don't hold too much weight against that. In the car on the way back, Tori and Felipe are having a conversation. Felipe's like, how do you feel? How do you think she feels, Felipe? Like, what a dumb question. You know how she feels. And he is trying to reassure her. And he's like, I am 100% committed to you. I am. I just don't know if I can be forever. Okay, here's my thing. 100% is like max, right? That's like, I am completely certain we're locked in for good, right? You are not committed to her 100% if you don't know if you can do this forever. You're just not. You might be committed to her 75%, maybe 50, but the way you were talking at that dinner, I would wager you're committed to her about max 50%. I would give it a 50% commitment. You might not be wanting to cheat on her right now, but you know that you can't do this forever. You just don't want to say it. And I mean, it's fine. Here's the thing, okay? It's fine if you feel like this is not the life you want to live. If you feel like you cannot be monogamous, if you feel like you can't be in a marriage, if you feel like you can't be with just one person forever, that is fine. There are people who are polyamorous. There are people who have open relationships, but Tori doesn't want that. And if that's what you want, then that's what you need. You need to find someone who is okay with that kind of lifestyle, even if it's not Tori. And one thing I respect about Tori, she said, I'm not about to sit here and convince you to be with me. I'm not going to convince any man to be with me. Respect. Absolutely. No woman should ever try and convince a man to be with her. No man should try and convince a woman to be with him. Nobody should have to convince anyone to be with him. Let people be with you who want to be with you. So Caitlin and Devin are on the way back home from the group dinner, and what a conversation. So Devin keeps bringing up that he feels like the only time Caitlin ever puts forth effort and the only time they ever have good times is in front of the cameras, and outside the cameras, it's just pretty bad. And he is being very negative in the car. He's not saying anything positive, anything constructive, anything good. She's like, you're making it feel like I'm really difficult to love. And he's like, well, right now you really are. And it's like, why would you say that to somebody? I understand that you're frustrated, but there are certain things that you just don't say. And I don't think that Devin's being helpful in this situation. And Caitlin's like, do you ever sit and just think about the good things that have happened like in our day? Because every time you get asked about it, you just bring up negative things, but you keep bringing up the cameras, and it's not about the cameras. And he's like, that's the only time we put forth effort. That's the only time we have a good time. And she's like, what was your favorite day that we've had? Was it EDM Fest? Where were the cameras? And he can't answer that question. He said it was EDM Fest. There were no cameras. We don't have any footage of that. So obviously it's not just the cameras. And you know what I think it is? After like really listening to them have this conversation and go back and forth, and hearing Caitlin talk about how it feels like he's always just so negative and only harping on the negative, what I think needs to happen is when Devin has something to say where he wants to bring up an issue, he needs to use the sandwich method of say something positive, say something constructive, say something positive. That's what he needs to do. It will not only force him to think of something positive, but it will buffer it for Caitlin. That way it's not always just something negative. So in the end, it's going to make him sit and think and reflect, what have been some positive things that have happened lately? For example, he could say, you know, we had such a good night during the Harry Potter night, and like where we like really got close, and we made the butterbeer, we made the chocolate frogs, and that was so much fun. But I do feel like we're still not really connecting on the way that I want us to. And if you think back about the EDM, we had so much fun and it felt like we were so connected. Maybe we can figure out what we were doing then that we can bring in now so that we can stay that connected. It's simple as that. And Caitlin will hear it completely differently because it's framed completely different and it's a lot less harsh and abrasive than we're not very connected right now. We're like not even friends. I mean, do you hear the difference? That's a completely different like framing of this while saying pretty much the exact same thing. And I think that that's what needs to happen. There needs to be a structure to the way they converse with each other, to the way they talk to each other. Because Caitlin is hearing negative because Devin is only saying negative. Caitlin said in the car that whenever she's asked about the relationship, she's always naming all these positive things. I've never been treated like this. He does all these great things. He's such a good guy. And Devin, on the other hand, is like, she's just not trying. She's not giving me enough. She's not moving fast enough. Sandwich. It works. Shawn is a very insecure man. He's very insecure, and seeing Nikki's house has made him feel very emasculated. So we go to Shawn's apartment, right? And it's what you would expect. It's a guy's apartment. He has like brown, not even leather, recliner couches. It's not much happening in there. He has a very firm bed, a gaming chair at his desk, and he also said that he wrote a book because he had like a bookshelf. And she's like, "Oh, a lot of books," and he was like, "Yeah, I like to read. I'm a bit of a nerd. You can also see the book I wrote," which I thought was really funny that the cameraman did not show the book. They did not show the name of that book. They were just like, okay, yeah, we're going to move along on that one. And then we go to Nikki's house and she's like, it's a shoeless household. I respect it. Mine is too. And so they go in, it's a very nice house, and she's like talking about her furniture and things like that because she's going for a more curated vibe. And so she has like a credenza that she got from West Elm that is from India. And then she has a rug that she said that she went to Bangalore. Is that what she said? And then she brought it back with her. And she was like, it feels so good on the feet. And in Shawn's confessional, he's like, I think Nikki's used to being the bougiest of the group, but I come from a bougie group, so her house isn't like mind-blowing. It's not the most mind-blowing thing I've ever seen. Shawn, you come from an apartment, okay? Let's really calm ourselves here. You're so insecure and you feel emasculated. You don't have to, and nothing, he makes everything a competition, right? This is not a competition of whose house is nicest, who's the most bougie, and yet what's he doing? I've seen bougier people. I come from bougie. This is not the most mind-blowing house. She didn't say it was, but it is her house. So Michelle and Cameron go to Cameron's apartment in Portland, Oregon. They walk in. He has a lot of plants. It's very manly. Like it's what you would expect from like a bachelor pad, but a little more minimal, a little more clean. He has recliners and they kick back, they recline, and Michelle's like, this is what old people do. And she's like, he has so many plants and I've always dreamed of having a lot of greenery in my house, but I don't have a green thumb. And girl, honestly, same. I love the idea of having plants in my house, but I don't got that. I don't have it in me. I'm going to kill all of them. But there were no reveals or anything. They just had like a really nice time at his apartment. She's still not moving to Portland though. He wanted her to keep an open mind. She kept an open mind, but she's still not moving to Portland. Okay, so I don't want to lose track and forget things. So I'm going to recap right here in the middle of their therapy session, and then I will continue and then I'll finish the recap of it. So they are in therapy, Adam and Marissa, with Dr. Lisa, and she basically is asking, Adam, why do you do everything at a 10? Like, why is it always at 100? And when I meet people like that, I'm always like, what are you running from? So he gets into his childhood a little bit and what his life was like with his dad. And he says that his dad is a person who always does things at a 10, out of 100. And so he feels like he just kind of learned by watching his dad. And she was like, but when you were growing up, were you put in like sports, extracurriculars? And he was like, oh yeah, piano and Boy Scouts. And she was like, are these things that you wanted to do? Were you forced to do them? And he reveals that he was forced into it. He used to do piano. He had like classical piano lessons for, I think he said 13 years. And then Boy Scouts, he was pushed to go all the way to Eagle Scout. And they were not things that he was wanting to do. He was actually pretty embarrassed of them. He revealed that when his friends would come over, that he would be like, please don't mention it. Please don't mention it. And there's one incident in particular. I don't know if it happened multiple times, but he does bring up one incident in particular where his mom walked in the room and was like, hey, you have your piano piano lesson at this time and your Eagle Scouts at this time. And he was so embarrassed. And she was like, I wonder if this is why you live your life so out loud now. It's because of the instances in your past. And I think that that's a very good like revelation and assumption to make, because it does make sense. Like if you had things that you were ashamed of that you were trying to hide, it does make sense that as an adult you live everything just like on the table, because you're like, whatever, this is who I am, this is what I'm doing, these are things I'm choosing to do, because growing up there were things I was forced to do. And to be forced to do things at like such a high level, like now that you're an adult, you're like, I'm gonna be at that high level on everything, I'm gonna excel at everything, there's nothing I don't excel with. And I think that's a double-edged sword, you know, because he doesn't know how to not be at a 10. And so she asked Marissa, you know, how does that make you feel to hear him say that like he is that kind of person? Like, Adam, do you want to be doing these things? You know, like, what do you see your future? And he's like, you know, I see myself still jet skiing, like even when I'm old. I see myself playing pickleball even when I'm old. And Marissa's like, it does concern me, it does stress me out, because it's like I can't keep up, because he has had a girlfriend in the past that could keep up with him, and so that's what I'm being compared to. And Dr. Lisa's like, well, how does that show up for you? Is it like anxiety? And she was like, yeah, it shows up for me as anxiety. And I don't, unless Adam can figure out how to like not be at 100 all the time, I really don't know that they can last, which I already was unsure if they were going to last anyway, to be completely honest. But hearing it all broken down and laid out on the table like this, and hearing what Adam wants and what's important to him, I don't think Marissa is the person for him. And even he's questioning the compatibility now just because of all this. So it's like, I don't think that that's his person. So we learn a bit more about Marissa. We learn that she has struggled with depression and anxiety in the past. Depression more so when she was a teenager. She said that she's so far pretty much overcome that, which is great. I also used to struggle with depression and anxiety even up until like a few years ago, and it is a beast and a half to deal with. So they're talking about her triggers, and come to find out, she's basically married to her trigger. She's married to somebody who wants things a certain way, who isn't very flexible, who is pretty rigid, who is a perfectionist. And in her past, she dealt with somebody like that, where like even if she loaded the dishwasher wrong, she would get scolded. And that's crazy. Like that is actually crazy behavior. So why they put her with somebody like that, I'm sure they knew. I'm sure they knew about her past relationships, and I'm sure she told them about this, and yet they put her with somebody who is at a 10. Granted, Dr. Paul did comment, I think a couple episodes ago, that this is a different Adam than the one that he met before. So it is very possible that they did not really understand the full picture of Adam. So I will give them a little bit of grace about that one. Dr. Lisa does ask him if he can be flexible, if he can be compromising with Marissa, because she's not going to be at the level that he's going to be at. She's not going to enjoy all the same things at the level that he enjoys them. And he's like, you know, I can try, but I'm not sure if I'll be 100% satisfied and 100% happy. And that's an honest answer, but at least he's trying. And honestly, I think that Adam and Marissa would be great friends. I just don't think that they're right to be married. So Cameron and Michelle go to visit his childhood home, and to me, they feel like the most real couple. They feel like the ones that actually are married and have been married, and it feels so natural to me with them two. So they go up to his childhood bedroom. He's like showing her around. So they sit on his bed, and he's like, you know, my first kiss was with a girl named Michelle on this bed. And so they have a kiss that way it comes like full circle. And he said that was when he was 16, which is like so crazy that like now he's married to a Michelle. What are the odds? So they go down to the basement, and he's like, take a seat, I want to show you some stuff. And I thought that was so cute, and it shows how comfortable he really is with her, because he like dug out a storage tub full of things and was like showing her his basketball card from when he was younger and different memorabilia and looks like some yearbooks maybe. And you know, now Michelle is open to moving to Portland because of hearing how he grew up and seeing like where he grew up, and she wants that for her kids and he wants that for his kids. And they're sitting on the couch, and he's like, you know, decision day is coming up, but I'm thinking so much further past that. Like I'm thinking about having kids with you and having a loving home with parents who are in love. And Michelle was crying. I get it, I didn't cry, but it was very sweet, very touching, and it just felt very real. And I feel like Cameron has come so far, like through this whole experience. Like he started this thing pretty scared of family and kids because he's never been in a long-term relationship. He is now less than 3 weeks away from decision day with Michelle, and he hasn't said it, but I do believe that he loves her and that he like really wants to be with her forever. And it just feels good. Like they have done the experiment, the experience, the way it's supposed to be done. And I really think that they chose, number one, they actually were matched pretty well But even on their differences, I think that they're mature enough, because I think they said they're the second oldest couple here. They're mature enough to like work through and talk through their differences and figure out where like the middle ground is, figure out a compromise, and be open to hearing each other truly, to actually like get to a place where it's like, okay, this can work. We can make this work. This is not a deal breaker. X, Y, and Z. I feel really hopeful for them. I can't believe that I'm a Cam and Michelle believer, but I really am. I'm gonna ride for them. I hope I don't regret saying that. Well, Tori has reached her breaking point. She is fed up in her own little like confessional that she filmed herself, and she's like, I'm so tired of Felipe flip-flopping and being like, I'm so committed to you and I'm so into you. And she's like, the chemistry is great, yeah, but I'm so sick and tired of all the flip-flopping, and he's not sure what he wants to do, and he doesn't know if he can be with me because he might cheat on me. Like, why are you in this experiment? Why? And she said that she's torn between having a conversation and just leaving, and she feels like she needs space, and she's like, I have work, I have my family, I don't have the bandwidth for this. And she just needs him to figure it out. I'm with you, girl. He needs to figure it out. I'm tired of hearing about it too. And I know if I'm tired of hearing about it, you're definitely tired of hearing about it. Especially being the person on the receiving end of being like, oh, so you just keep saying that you might cheat on me. It's giving, you're gonna cheat on me. I do believe he's gonna cheat on her if they stay together. I do believe. Yeah, if they stay together, I do believe he's gonna cheat on her, which is so unfortunate. But I think Tori has a really good head on her shoulders where she knows that this is not it and that she's not gonna stay in this. I really believe that she's gonna be a no. If they make it to decision day, she's gonna be a no. Because she knows. She's smart enough to know. I think we're all smart enough to know. I mean, the writing's on the wall. He's pretty much spray painting it on the wall saying, I'm gonna cheat on you. This is your warning. Don't act surprised when it happens. Because I warned you that I'm gonna cheat on you. I warned you. I warned you. Everybody roll the tapes. Play the tapes. I warned you. That's how it's gonna go down. But that was the end of episode 12. This was quite the 3-episode batch that they released this week. I mean, so this week's update is the only yeses for staying together so far for decision day: Beljulie and Mecca, and Michelle and Cameron. Everyone else is an undecided and truthfully a no. Devin and Caitlin are definitely a no. Nikki and Shawn are definitely a no. Who else? Adam and Marissa is an undecided right now. Nick and what's her name? Nick and Courtney, they're gonna be a no. I'm missing somebody, aren't I? I don't know who I'm missing. It is what it is, whatever. But granted, they didn't give these answers. This is my answers based on what we just saw. So thank you so much for watching. Make sure you subscribe so that you are here for the next set of episode drops. If you want to see past recaps, make sure you go check out my channel. I also covered The Ultimatum Season 4 earlier this summer. So I will see you guys very soon for episodes 13, 14, 15. Until then, bye!